I've coached hundreds of sales reps, both in my internal team and tons of my students. And these guys are doing anywhere from $20K a month all the way up to $500,000 a month. And what I've noticed is a couple of sets of patterns from people that absolutely crush it. And I'm talking about going from zero all the way to crushing it. And the guys that, they make the effort, but they don't get the results. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the top 3 most important things, the patterns that I've recognized over the years of training salespeople, and the main differences that get people from 0 to 100K a month, 50K to 200K a month, so forth and so on. If you're new to this channel, all we do is we talk about how to get individual wholesale companies to $100,000 per month. And then from there, how to duplicate and clone themselves so they can have other reps bring in $100,000 a month. They can build a 7-figure wholesaling business. And if you are already subscribed, welcome back. I have a banger for you guys. You guys want to pay attention to this one. It's going to be going over some stuff that I've never covered before. So here's the problem with most sales training, whether you're investing in sales training or you're doing it yourself internally and you're trying to train your team. A lot of times what we do is we convince ourselves that we are getting better. We convince ourselves that we are training our teams the right way. We convince ourselves that we're learning because we are ingesting information. But ingesting information and getting better are two completely different things. And here's the biggest thing. When I see people that come into my group, come into my community, or reps on my own team, when I see them get much better versus the ones that are progressing very slowly, is the specific questions that they ask. And so I'll give you an example. If you are pulling up your sales team's calls and you're going through them and you're giving them just a ton of random, like misguided, or I shouldn't say misguided, but unguided feedback. It's just like, oh, you could have done this better. Oh, you could have done this better. Oh, you could have done this better. At the end of that, they are going to have a ton of information. But did they actually get any better? So here's the process that you should be doing. And if you are investing in sales training, this is the way that you should be looking at it. Step 1, you need to be listening to your own calls more than you are listening to sales training. And I would call it like 80-20. 80% listen to your own calls, only 20% listening to sales training. Why? Because you're trying to solve the right problem. You're trying to pick up on patterns that are actually the thing that's stopping you from closing deals. And if you ever have watched any of the Elon Musk interviews, he talks about this a lot, that one of the most common mistakes he sees with high-level engineers is they try to optimize something that shouldn't even exist in the first place. Salespeople are very, very similar. And so they might have, one seller that's super harsh on them. And so they just want to get really, really good at those red sellers. But they have other people that they talk to. They had 5 sellers that they talked to in the last week that gave them a think about it objection. They still don't know how to overcome that. And so the way that I look at this is like a goal line, right? And so let's say that you've got 10 sellers and, we're looking at a football field on the 100-yard line. Let's say 20% of your sellers, you got them from one end zone to the 20-yard line, but they were super hostile. They were really hard. They were closed off. Maybe they didn't have any motivation because you don't know quite yet how to get there. And that's where they left off. They left off at that 20-yard line. A lot of reps just want to focus on those sellers because they were the hardest, right? They're like, oh, well, those people I didn't even get to an offer, so I need to work on those. And then you have your sellers that you get to like the 60-yard line. Maybe you gave them an offer, but they were really far apart. Then you have your sellers that are on like the 90-yard line, right? Like they're 10 yards away from the end zone. And instead of working on those that are the closest, the most likely to close, what a lot of people will do is they'll just go, well, this 20-yard line lead, I had this objection, and the 90-yard line, I had this objection, and the 50-yard line, I had this objection. And they're not actually getting any better. They're just getting kind of like tips and tricks. And so instead, what I've noticed with my team, my students, everyone that I've trained is the guys that improve drastically. They are auditing their calls. They're taking the time, they're listening to their calls, and they're looking for patterns. Where am I consistently getting stuck? And so if I have 5 sellers that are at the 90-yard line, what were the objections that I got? What were the things that they hit me with? And I'm going to go over at the end of this video a process on how to actually audit your sales calls and find the real problems. But that's what they're doing. And instead of them just trying to get 100% better overnight, for example, they get a new script, they're trying to flip their script upside down. They're just trying to get 1% better. And they understand that 1% better per day over 90 days is going to be a 90% improvement. Over 100 days is 100% improvement. So they can flip their script and they can flip their entire sales process, but they do it slowly without ever watching their conversions dip because they're just focusing on the main thing at a time. And I can see it with the specific questions that they ask. Now, number 2, how do you actually identify what is your constraint? So when I am going through and auditing my sales calls, it's important to tie what they said at the end of their call to a specific thing that I might have missed or said incorrectly at the beginning of my call or during my sales process. process, right? For example, I'll just share my screen and give you a couple of examples of what I mean by this. So let's say that the seller says, I'm going to do this later. Hey, this all sounds good. The price works, but honestly, I've got a lot going on. I'm just going to do this later. If I am getting that objection often, it's not that all my leads just want to do it later. And if you're going into Q4 right now, you're going to have to master this objection, because Q4, you are going to get hit with the objections of, I need to wait till after the holidays. I've got a lot going on with the holidays. You have to master building urgency. Otherwise, you're going to have a terrible Q4. You might have a decent Q1, right? But that's not what's important. What's important is the money that you have right now. So you need to master building urgency. So if they say, I need to do this later, that just means you didn't build actual urgency, right? You didn't make them realize that doing this is the number one thing that they could do in their life that would improve their quality of life. And that's really all it is. And so like I teach my students, we just did a masterclass on building urgency inside of our advanced inner circle, where we talked about getting people to realize that making this transition would be the number one thing that they can do that would improve their quality of life. Think about it like this. If you have a dog, right? It's just like you're in love with this dog. This dog is your best friend. And something happens to that dog where it needs to have emergency surgery. You're pretty much, if you have the means to do it, you are going to do whatever it takes to save that dog. And you're going to do that because there's nothing else that will improve your quality of life, unless you have like kids. Obviously, that's even more impactful, right? But there's nothing else that would improve your quality of life more than keeping your dog alive and healthy. And so you would make that decision very quickly. You would want to do that right away, regardless of the price, as long as you could afford it, because you have the urgency and you realize this is the number one thing that you can do, right? So if you're getting that, it might be building urgency. Let's go over a couple of more. Let's say that I need to do XYZ first. So they give you some sort of like logistical. I need to go talk to this person first. I need to do this thing first. I need to figure out where I'm going to live first, right? That's a really common one. I need to find another house first. That means you didn't get a clear future state. And so you didn't help them understand. Are they renting? Are they buying? Where exactly are they renting? What are they looking for? Are they looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath? You didn't get that picture perfect state that they are trying to accomplish. And honestly, when you don't get that picture perfect state, they don't have a lot of urgency to move forward because they don't even know what they want. So they have to go figure that out first. This is how you overcome that with obstacles. You need to get a clear future state. If that's something that you're getting consistently, this would be the number one thing that you would work on, right? If you have somebody that says, I'll just wait until I can get the right number, this is a lack of problem impact. It's a lack of what is staying in this house actually doing to you. And the crazy thing is, you can have a seller in foreclosure hit you with this objection, like literally like a week away from losing their house. They're like, I just got to hold out a little longer, see if I get a better number. How ridiculous is that? It's literally just because you don't know how to build problem impact. You don't know how to create the urgency. And then we'll go over one more. Let's say that a seller just says, I need to get more offers. So they're shopping you around. This is two main things. One, a lack of objection prevention. So you didn't ask the right questions in your sales process to be able to prevent that objection from coming up. And then two, when you presented the offer, you didn't get any sort of commitment before you presented the offer. And so in turn, you're going to get objections at the end of your call. And I have an entire process, literally step by step, broken down, that I go over with my students on, if you're getting this objection, this is typically where that comes from. And what you need to understand is every objection is a response to something that you didn't uncover, like a valid concern that you didn't uncover, or a triggered response to something that you said or the way that you said it. So everything is going to be your fault at some point. And if you don't believe that, then you can just buy into a victim mentality that all your leads are bad and you can go broke. I don't really care. More market share for me. I'm loving having all the market share right now because people are struggling and we're absolutely crushing it. So that's fine. But if you want to get better, don't buy into that bullshit mentality of that your leads are bad. Figure out where in your sales process you actually need to improve and ruthlessly attack that one constraint step by step by step. And the last step actually took me a little too long to figure out, I will admit. I'd have guys that join our school community, which is like our basic program, super cheap, just so you can get your feet wet and understand the sales process. And I'd have guys that would hop on every single week. They would be role playing, they'd be coming up with scenarios. And there's one guy in particular, eventually I just asked him, I was like, bro, what objections are you getting right now on your calls? Because your process sounds like fairly decent. He's like, well, I'm not really getting any objections. I'm not really making any calls. I'm like, yeah, well, that's the problem, bro. You can be really good at sales. And if you're not making any calls, yeah, you're not going to get any better. It'd be like going to your jujitsu professor and he's like, all right, what's the number one thing that you feel like you're struggling with? Where are you getting tapped out the most? Where are you struggling? And you're like, well, I haven't actually been practicing, but I've been watching a lot of Gordon Ryan matches online. He's going to be like, well, that's why you're not getting any better, because you're not actually practicing. And so I created a rule. And if you follow this rule and you do this consistently, consistently for 90 days, you will not have to worry about money again, as long as you're following the other things, right? And that rule is the rule of 40. So that's 40 offers per month, no matter what. And if you break it down, it might sound like a lot. It's literally just 2 offers a day. If you're committed to actually growing your wholesaling business, why can't you make 2 offers a day? 2 offers a day is super easy. And if you're like, well, I don't have enough lead flow to make 2 offers a day, guess what? You can go pull a list and start doing cold calling and figure out how many people you need to speak to make 2 offers a day. You can call for sale by owner. If there's not enough for sale by owners in your market, go wider, right? Like, don't buy into this like bullshit mentality that you can't do something for whatever reason. If you believe you can't do something, yeah, you can't do it, right? But it's super easy. Just make 2 offers a day. Make 2 offers a day, improve your sales process one step at a time, and then make sure that you're identifying, you're listening to your calls on what you need to work on, and you are going to be fine. And so let's do some math. 2 offers a day is going to be roughly 10 offers per week. Now, let's say that you are dog shit. You're making 10 offers per week and you're dog shit. You should at least be getting 1 contract per week off of those 40 offers. Bare minimum. Like, and I'm talking about your dog shit. You're closing at 10%, which is like a third of what our advanced students are closing at and half of what like a normal rep should be closing at, right? Without even like super advanced sales training, just like they're good on the phones, right? And so you're closing 1 contract per week, which is roughly 4 contracts per month. Now, those 4 contracts a month, conservatively, realistically, it should be closer to 8. Let's say that you are still new, your underwriting's terrible, and you're at a 50% contract to close. So 2 out of the 4 are going to fall out due to title issues, due to underwriting, things like that. That's still 2 closed deals. 2 closed deals at, let's call an average deal size, which again is super conservative and low, is 15 grand. That's $30,000 per month. That $30,000 is going to give you minimum $10,000 to reinvest back into ads. And with $10,000, you are going to have the marketing spend to make 40 offers on new leads, whether you're doing PPC, PPL, Facebook. You will have enough marketing spend to start making 40 offers per week on new leads. And then if you have the right sales training, now those 40 offers turn into, a minimum of 8 contracts and a minimum of 4 closed deals, right? Now you're at 15,000 times 4. That's $60,000 a month on the low end. And you can see how easy it is to get to $100,000 a month as long as you're making the 40 offers, right? Now that's the math behind it, but let's talk about why it's so important. There does take a certain amount of volume to be able to improve. And if you can at least make 2 offers per day, you're not doing enough volume to actually start practicing the things that you need to practice. You don't have any calls to review, right? You're just sitting around twiddling your thumbs. And so if you're under that $100,000 a month range and you're not at least making 40 offers per month, that would be the first thing that I would get to, is start making the 40 offers per month. That way you can start improving your sales process. You can start identifying your constraints. You start getting to a 20, 25, 30% close rate. You start closing, 1 out of 7, 1 out of 8, 1 out of 10 leads to deal, and you start actually scaling your business. It's really easy if you just follow that process. And then the more reps you have, the more you're going to identify and the better you're going to identify what your actual constraint is. And so kind of in reverse order, if you just start making 40 offers per month, you do that one thing, then you are going to realize things that you need to improve on. Once you identify the things that you need to improve on, which is step 2, now step 3 is to work on one thing at a time. And if you just do that, you are going to improve faster than 95% of other people. And it will be extremely hard to fail, not even in today's market, with really anything you do, if you just follow those simple steps. And if you need more help identifying what your constraint is, and you want someone like me to listen to your calls, we have an advanced inner circle with guys doing anywhere from $20,000 all the way to $500,000 a month. You will learn through osmosis just by watching some of the top closers in the country. And I'll be able to listen to some of your calls and coach you on your specific feedback on what you need to do and get better, and be able to train you every single day of the week. We also have leadership calls with one of our coaches who has built a company at $2 million a month, teaching you how to scale, teaching you how to hire acquisitions, onboard, do dispo. We talk about marketing, everything that you need to be able to scale to multiple 6 figures per month. So I'm going to drop a link in the description as always. Make sure you guys like and subscribe for similar videos just like this. I will see you guys on the next video. Bye, everybody.